Great, thank you so much, Christopher, and thank you, Rebecca. So now we are going to switch gears very slightly to look at how Altmetric is being used within a private funding agency who both fund research but then produce research as well. So I am now going to hand it over to Dr. Michelle M. Doty. All right, you are live. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, great. Hope everybody can hear me and can see my screen. Let me know if you can't. Okay, welcome everybody. I'm from the Commonwealth Fund. I am going to talk to you a little bit about how we use Altmetric data to provide insights on program accomplishments here at the Foundation. So a little bit
Michelle,
about us.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We do not yet see your screen, but I've made you the presenter, so you should be able to share your screen now. Perfect. We are seeing the presentation mode, just in case you have any notes you don't want to share.
Can you see now? Can you see us now?
So we are looking at the presentation mode.
Perfect. Perfect.
Great.
Okay. Welcome everybody. I'm here at the Commonwealth Fund based in New York City, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're using Altmetric data here at the Foundation to talk about program accomplishments. So who are we? We are a foundation that was established in 1918 by Agna Harkness, and we are a foundation that supports independent research to improve healthcare practice and policy. And our mission is to promote a high-performing healthcare system that achieves better access, improved quality, and greater efficiency for society's most vulnerable. Commonwealth Fund supports research in these areas, expanding health insurance coverage and access to care, improving how healthcare is delivered to patients, and making care more affordable. We also have a very innovative communications program which helps to disseminate our work on healthcare solutions to key decision makers and change agents. We publish yearly about 300 research outputs, so on our website, including blogs, reports, interactives, charts, maps. We also help to disseminate our work published in journals, and that could be fund staff work or grantees work, by writing summaries about the published work and posting that on our website. Foundation staff and grantees, together with our communications team, generates the content that's posted on our website. So we use Altmetric data to provide programs with insights about the reach of their work, and we focus on high-profile news media, social media, and we also care about whether or not our work is being picked up, discussed, shared by particular stakeholders. So an example of how I use the data is at the end of the year, I generate summary reports for each program, presenting the goals of that program alongside the accomplishments for the year. So here on this slide, you could see, it's not a very pretty slide, but it gives a summary of some of the key accomplishments for the year. And the summary that you see here, 109 publications generated more than 800 news stories, were shared in more than 70,000 Twitter and 800 Facebook posts, is all data that I get from Altmetric. I also use Altmetric to kind of highlight some notable tweets from particular stakeholders, change agents that we find are important to our work. So here's a tweet about our work from Rachel Maddow and a tweet about our work from Chris Murphy. I also can generate data on what is the most tweeted publication ever and provide some data on that. So I do this for all of our program areas at the end of the year. So now I'm going to turn and do a quick demonstration for you on Altmetric. Let's see how I can switch really quickly. So what I'm going to show you here is Can you see, hopefully you can see my Altmetric page. Here, what I'm showing you is kind of a first.
So sorry, Michelle, we are currently on the PowerPoint view, so we
Okay,
do
hold on,
not
let me
see
check.
Chrome.
I will turn this off. Hold on. Okay. Can you see this now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thanks. So here is kind of an overview page where I hope it's probably pretty small for you to see, but basically here is on my institution page where I can see an overview of all the publications. And what I like about this is that first I can see which publication has had the most news stories, and it gives me a list. I could also see which publication has had the most tweet activity, Twitter activity. And you can see from this drop list that it can give you information about, for example, I want to know what if policy documents, which piece of work that we have on our website has generated the most policy mentions. And if you click on a publication, so I selected one of the publications that's currently in my institution. You can examine in more detail what type of attention your research receives. So this is actually a journal this is a journal article published by one of our grantees. And what I'd like to know is what kind of news stories have been generated, have picked up this work. And I can highlight here sort of the high level, high profile news media. I can also use this to scroll to just get a sense of where else is this work appearing that I'm not necessarily familiar with. I can also click on to the Twitter page and start to look at the kind of Twitter activity I'm getting. And I'll show you in a little bit in particular what I'm interested in when I'm looking at the Twitter page. So for example, here, I said that we're really interested in knowing whether certain people are talking about our work. And here, in this case, it's very easy to, in this source page, to add particular Twitter handles that I want to keep track of and see, are we generating some interest in our work among policymakers and change agents. You can add the Twitter handle here and you can generate reports and start to look at, well, let's see who is tweeting about my work and in which way. And finally, I can use Altmetric to take a look at particular program areas. So if I want to summarize and provide insights on a portfolio work for a particular program, I can click on, for example, our work in international health policy and innovations. I can view these results, and I can quickly tell programs a little bit about what has all this body of work, what kind of attention has this body of work generated. I can look at highlights, which shows me that some summary details, that there was 105 research pieces that actually got some attention. These are the number of mentions. I can take a look at some news highlights and get a sense of, so start to use this to provide the summary data for programs. So hopefully that gives you examples of how I use my work, and I'm eager to hear how others use their work, use Twitter or the other features of Altmetric to generate insights for their programs or for faculty or specific researchers. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you also to our other presenters today in this panel, to Dr. Herbert and Christopher and Rebecca as well. So we have now a few questions that are up. Let's see what we've got. So there was a lot of Twitter conversation happening actually around, in particular, Boyer's model of scholarship and what Texas A&M University is doing with it. I think we've got a lot of theory enthusiasts on the line today. So I was wondering, Dr. Herbert, if you could tell us a bit more about why exactly you decided to choose that particular way of understanding kind of the work that's being done at TAMU, and then if you had considered any other models as well, because I think people would be very keen to hear how you can move from kind of this heady organizational theory to kind of the practical everyday, which I think Texas A&M is doing very, very well. So kind of a convoluted question, but can you speak to that? And as just a reminder too to our audience, you can go ahead and ask your questions by inputting them in the questions panel in your GoToWebinar control panel. So Bruce, I'll turn it over to you to answer my question.
Sure, outstanding. Thanks. So I am a geology professor who's now serving as director of scholarly communications in the library, and my role was to be the voice between the library and the rest of the campus community, to be a liaison, to be somebody who could be in the middle. And so when I got to the library and we started organizing services around faculty reputation and departmental narratives or college narratives of significance of their work and impact of their work, we were well aware of the difficulties in trying to craft services that could account for disciplinary differences. And so one model, one size is not going to fit all. So we looked for ways where we could generate a framework that would account for important differences, but not be too complex so that we were having to customize a service for every particular department on campus. This came about because the very first group that cried for help was the Department of Performance Studies on campus. And these were people who were our composers and choreographers and theater people. And I'm going to tell you, I've worked here for 26 years. I didn't even know we had a performance studies department. So they had been approached with some metrics from the provost and about the impact of their work. And surprisingly, because Web of Science was the primary source of data, they had a score of 0.0. And so they were like, ah. So we went in there and we started talking to them about what they did and the kinds of products that they were producing and the kind of impact that they wanted. And I had been using the Boyer's framework for a long time to support the scholarship of teaching and learning, particularly in the sciences. So it would that framework of looking at a couple different categories of what faculty are trying to do with their work, what's the things that they're emphasizing, kind of fits quite well for a public university like we are. We've used other frameworks in the past, primarily around the type of the dominant type of scholarly object that faculty produce. So sometimes our services are focused on, we have services that focus on supporting those faculty that write journal articles versus monographs versus digital collections and digital projects and creative works. So we use that framework sometimes to do it, but this is a way to handle the heterogeneity or diversity here at campus without overwhelming the librarians.
Excellent, thank you, Bruce.
Cool.
Our next question is for Rebecca. Rebecca, we had a question as to the University of Michigan, the library's role specifically in research impact measurement. Kind of what else are you all doing at University of Michigan libraries in this space?
That is a great question. A lot of the really strong existing activity is happening with my colleagues at the Health Sciences Library. There's a team there who have been pretty involved for a long time in supporting faculty with their research impact needs and questions. It's pretty well established practice in that sort of space in the health sciences area. So the informationists, that's their terminology for it, for their role, are doing quite a lot in this area. In our sort of central main graduate library in the heart of our campus, which is where I am based, it's not so much yet. I'm new to my role, and I am really eager to find out what our faculty and different departments on campus are looking for and needing. What I'm especially interested in and focused on, my background is in the humanities, as you guys heard. So I'm eager to sort of meet with faculty, talk to them about their needs, kind of just like Dr. Herbert was just describing, find out what research outputs they're producing, where they're expecting them to be used, what they're wanting, using tools like the metrics toolkit to sort of advise, like, okay, what is the best way to talk about how these are being used? So they're, to the extent that there's sort of like really deep scientific citation analysis, that kind of support happening. So far, it's in the Health Sciences Library. I'm interested to see where we might expand that into other areas. And I'm particularly interested in starting some sort of consultation or reference support around what does research impact mean for my discipline and my type of research output, and helping folks think critically about that. But again, this is quite new. I'm going to be meeting with the liaison librarians sort of over the course of the summer to find out from them and ask for their help in making inroads in these different departments. So that's where I'm looking to do some growth, but it's quite early days yet.
Excellent, thanks, Rebecca. And Bruce, I think you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, Rebecca, this is really fun, but we borrowed or recruited our new provost and our new vice president of research from Michigan. So I'm really going to watch what you do, because we are have Michigan envy now down here at A&M. But let me quickly give you an example of one of the things that I found that works well here with Altmetrics. 3 little case studies. I always start conversations with faculty about what they're trying to accomplish, right? And I keep in mind that Boyer's framework, and some faculty are really focused on fundamental research and talking to their scholarly communities, and others are trying to do public impact, societal impact type things, and so on. And so let me give you an example. My own wife is an English professor, and she's pretty focused on her scholarly community. And we use Altmetrics to track her trying to promote her new books that come out. And so she tracks Twitter conversations and how they extend and go viral and so on like that. So she can show how people are engaging with her new books as they come out on Twitter, and they're all scholars. So it's a scholarly community and scholars' use of Twitter to pass on information about new books in digital humanities. And so we found Altmetric is the tool that allows her to track the efficacy of her promoting her new work that way, and it really is working. And the beauty of it is it's translating into citations for those books, which is what she's very focused on. But then we move to the public health, the School of Public Health here at A&M, and they have a really strong norm on societal impact. They want their research to go out and make the world a better place. And we used Altmetrics during their recent accreditation to show the societal impact of their work, particularly around this one researcher who's studying the health effects on school kids about standing desks. And this researcher really doesn't generate a lot of citations for his research, but he's one of the originators of the idea of standing desks, and now you see them everywhere. And it was Altmetrics that allowed us to track how that idea went out through news stories and blogs and Facebook posts and so on to show that societal impact for accreditation. And then finally,
Oh,
Yay.
sorry, Bruce.
No, we
We're
gotta move
running a
on.
bit
Yep,
behind
good.
on time, and I wanted to get in just one more question. This one is
Great.
actually for Michelle. Thank you so much, Bruce. I think having those examples is always super useful. Speaking of examples, Michelle, our final question goes to you. This is putting you on the spot a bit, I'm sure. But could you highlight an example of a publication from the Commonwealth Fund that had a huge, or maybe let's say a viral impact, lots of attention, and how you used the data that you gathered from Altmetric to kind of strategize going forward on the fly?
Sure, absolutely. I don't know if you can look at if you can see my screen again,
Let me
but
just
I would
shift it.
say that during the repeal and replace conversation at the beginning of last year, we of the Affordable Care Act, we had a lot of research from grantees and our research that we were putting out to talk about what were the consequences and the effects of repealing the Affordable Care Act. What were the consequences for states in terms of economic consequences to people? And so one of the blogs that was posted was this blog, what are the potential effects of the Graham-Cassidy ACA repeal replace bill? And this got so much Twitter activity, partially because one particular Congressman, Chris Murphy, had retweeted this report, and it was very timely. And you could see here that it was just off the charts, that about 24,000 users had retweeted or tweeted this piece. And Altmetric gives you this great little upper bound of potentially 30 million followers had seen this. So I would say that this, along with a bunch of other pieces that we were rolling out, we were doing a message of the day all throughout the summer that posted new work or existing old work regarding whatever policy debate was happening at the time, which was very rapid and changing quickly. And so Altmetric was able to sort of highlight the kind of the viral attention that each of these publications that were related to the repeal replace conversation, what attention this was getting in among the public. So
Thank you so much, Michelle.